everyone, thank you for watching. So today's video, we got a new declutter. I have been promising my high-end eyeshadow palette declutter forever, and it is finally time to work on this collection. I believe I have 53 palettes here. So we need to do something about this. My storage is kind of a mess lately, and I just know, Aries is with me, of course. Just know, like, looking at my collection every day when I'm deciding to pick out an eyeshadow palette, I know that there's plenty of palettes in here that I just don't reach for anymore. Maybe I don't even like, you know, that sort of thing. So this declutter is much, much needed. So if you are ready to see my high-end eyeshadow palette collection and declutter, why don't we go ahead and get started. All right, I'm just going to be randomly jumping in here. I don't have them set out in any particular order or anything. So first up, this is one of my new eyeshadow palettes. This is the Orb of Light Full Moon palette from Black Moon Cosmetics. I just had a subscriber send this to me. I've already used it twice, and I think I want to use it in my next kind of get ready with me style of video and recreate one of the looks that I did recently because I really liked it and it got some good feedback in a video, but I definitely want to keep this one. I've only had it for a handful of weeks right now, so gonna go ahead and keep that one. This one is the Violet Voss Holy Grail eyeshadow palette. I talk about this palette a ton. It's in my March Madness makeup video. I just really enjoy this palette. It's one of my favorites. Definitely want to be keeping this one. You can tell it's gotten a lot of love from me, so I will be keeping that one. Okay, let's see. This one here is from Pur Cosmetics. This is the Soiree Diaries eyeshadow palette. I honestly really do like this eyeshadow palette. I like reaching into it because it's so neutral, and it does still have like a variety-ish of colors, like especially these different shimmers in that last row. It's like whatever I want to do, I can create that look with it. So I think I actually want to keep this one. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and hang on to this one. Next one is the KVD Saint and Sinner eyeshadow palette. My friend Liv sent this to me, and I love this palette. I've raved about it in past videos. I really, really enjoy this eyeshadow palette. The packaging is super cool. Love the shades inside. Definitely going to be hanging on to that one. I just got this palette in my P.O. box just like 2 days ago, I think it was. The Viseart Neutral Matte Palette. I have wanted this palette for so long. It has been on my wish list forever, but I've just never been able to do it, and I was completely surprised when I got this in my P.O. box. My subscriber did say that she wanted to be kept anonymous, and I will do that, but thank you so much. You know who you are, and I appreciate it so much. I'm so excited to have this. Obviously, I will be keeping it. I've only tried it one time so far. Okay, next up I have here from Pur. This is the My Little Pony palette that they did. I actually did not like this palette at all, and I was super bummed because I do also have the Trolls palette in there. I really liked the Trolls palette, and I was really excited for this palette, and it's just not the same quality as the Trolls, and I just didn't really love it. I think a lot of other people do enjoy it, but for me it just didn't do anything, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this in my pass pile. Up here I have the Lorac Pro Brunch palette. I did purchase this one myself like very shortly after it came out. For whatever reason, I was just really excited for this pastel palette. I remember it was in the springtime. I just thought the springy pastel colors would be super fun to play with, and I like this palette. Like, don't get me wrong, I like it. I like the looks that I've created with it, but I'm not super hyped about it anymore, and I have another pastel palette in this collection, or that will be in this video, from Sigma that I prefer more for a pastel palette. So with that being said, I am gonna go ahead and put this one in my pass pile. I have this one here from Pur. This is the Trolls palette. Like I was saying, I really, really like this eyeshadow palette, and it kind of really caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did, and I really, really enjoy this palette. I recommended it in my gift card guide video that I did fairly recently, where I gave recommendations to Pur. This is a great eyeshadow palette. I really enjoy it. Definitely want to hang on to this one. Alrighty, next up I have this one here from Colored Raine. This is the Berry Cute palette. I did have a subscriber send this one to me as well. So it's just one of the mini Colored Raine palettes, and it has 6 different shades inside. I have played with it quite a bit, but honestly I still don't even feel like I have a really good handle on it. I think I need to come back in and play with it a few more times. I do want to hang on to this one, and I want to play with it a few more times. So I'm going to keep Berry Cute. Okay, so next up I have this one here from Sigma. This is the Warm Neutrals Volume 2 palette. I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as I can since we do have 53, so sorry if it does end up a longer video because I do like to talk. But this is the Warm Neutrals Volume 2 palette from Sigma Beauty. I really enjoy this palette as well. Sigma makeup for me is a little bit hit and miss, but I was really pleasantly surprised with this eyeshadow palette. I really like the shades in here. Like, I like the shade selections. I like this green. I like this red. This pink is actually a really cool color. I just ended up really enjoying this eyeshadow palette, so I do want to go ahead and hang on to this. And it also has like my tones, like warm neutrals. Like, yes, that is my tones. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep that one. Next up, I have this one here from Tarte. This is the Tartelette Toasted eyeshadow palette. I purchased this one myself as well, and I was really excited for it. And when I got it, I know I've reviewed it on my channel, and I said like when I got it, I wasn't quite as excited for it as I thought I was going to be. I kind of just feel like I'm doing the same look every time I reach for this palette, and I decided to hang on to it because I actually considered returning it. I decided to hang on to it because I was like, oh, it'll be nice for like comparison videos and like upcoming YouTube videos, things like that. There are certain things that I do keep around knowing that I can feature them in upcoming videos, and it's just helpful for me, or it's nice to be able to do comparisons or things like that. Like, I send swatches to people. Like, I will send snap photos to people of like swatches of stuff quite a bit. So it's nice to have it around, but honestly, I'm kind of mad at myself that I did that because I barely reached for this palette. I mean, I have plenty of other eyeshadow palettes that have these tones in there. And again, I'm not the most inspired when I reach for this palette. So I'm actually going to go ahead and put this one in my pass pile. Okay, so next up here, this one is the one from Sigma that I was talking about. This is the Crème de Couture pressed color palette. So this one is the pastel palette that I really enjoy. Kind of tell with this one in comparison to the Lorac, like even when you open it, the shades inside are just more vibrant right off the bat. And I think that it's just a really nice eyeshadow palette. It definitely has the pastels in here. Like, you see these over here, they're very pastel shades, but they're still vibrant. They're still colorful. They're still there. And I don't have to work with these shades as much as I do that Lorac one. So I'm going to go ahead and hang on to this one from Sigma. Okay, and then I have this one here. This is from Lorac. This is the Pirates of the Caribbean eyeshadow palette, and I'm gonna keep this one. I just think it's super cool. This was sent to me from Lorac, and I was so excited about it because I was considering purchasing this one, and when it showed up on my door, I was so excited about it. I like the shades inside. I love the packaging on this, but like, I just think this is a cool eyeshadow palette, man. Like, I just want to keep it because I think it's really cool. Okay. Alright, so next up here, I have this one from Smashbox. This is the Shape Matters. It's called like the Photo Matte Eyes palette, I believe. And inside, it's all neutral, all matte shades, and it does have a nice brush, and I actually do like that brush. I've had this palette for a while, and it used to be one of my favorites, but I've noticed that I just don't reach for it as much as I used to. I really did like these shades. I liked how there was differences in here, like there was the pinks and there's a blue in there, there's also a black, but then you also get all of, you know, the browns and the transitions and the warm tones and the cool tones. I really enjoyed this eyeshadow palette, but I honestly cannot remember the last time I reached for it, so I think that means that I can go ahead and pass this one on. And then, let's see, I have the Tartelette In Bloom eyeshadow palette. This one was definitely like a YouTube made me buy it palette. Everybody raved about this palette, so I had to have it. And again, I do like it. I do like this eyeshadow palette. I feel like I can create a lot of different looks with it. Like, I like the selections of matte and shimmers in here, and it's just kind of like one of those staple eyeshadow palettes in my collection. So I'm gonna go ahead and hang on to that one. Next up, I have this one here from Kevyn Aucoin. This is the ElectorPop palette. This is just a really cool eyeshadow palette. It has a nice mirror in there. It has these different shades. They're very like creamy shades. They feel more like a cream to powder type of shadow, and I just think the colors in there are really cool. It pushes me out of my comfort zone. It's definitely not like an all-inclusive palette because they are all shimmers besides this matte down here, but it's still really cool to come into, and I've liked the looks that I've created with it, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep that one. Next up, I have this one here from Dose of Colors. This is the Sassy Siennas palette. I don't know why I still have the plastic on it. I don't know. This is one of my newer palettes. I clearly haven't even taken that plastic part off yet, but I love the Dose of Colors eyeshadow palettes. I think that they are fantastic. I want them all. I think I have 3 now, and I just think they're all great. So definitely keeping this one. I love these tones in here. This palette is just fantastic. Highly recommend Dose of Colors. Next up here, I have the Modern Renaissance from Anastasia Beverly Hills. Again, I love this palette. This definitely is like one of my holy grail eyeshadow palettes. I am super light-handed when it comes to my makeup. Like, you very rarely see me hit pan, but like, I don't know. I'm just not like, I don't know how to explain it, but I'm just very light-handed when it comes to my makeup. Like with this one, I feel like you can tell, right? Like, you can tell that this palette has been loved. But yeah, the Anastasia Modern Renaissance, one of my absolute favorites. Definitely need to keep that palette. But I also have the Subculture here, and I've reviewed the Subculture. I've talked about the Subculture in past videos, and I do like this palette. I honestly do. I think it's a nice palette. But when I was thinking about this declutter, I actually was like, you know what? I think I'm going to declutter Subculture. And again, not because I don't like it or because I think it's crap or like I can't use it, because I can't. I just was wearing it the other day. But I got the dupe palette for this from Shop Hrush. It's the Bad Habit. I think it's the Retro Love palette. And I actually like that palette more. And it's the exact same thing as this Subculture. The colors are the same, but I like that one more. I did a comparison video between the two, and I was like, you know what? I think I need to give it to Retro Love. And I pulled this out the other day to try it again, and I was like, you know what? I still think I like Retro Love more. So I actually think that I'm going to go ahead and declutter this. I like you, Subculture. You caused a lot of drama, but I liked you, but I think I can go ahead and say goodbye to it, actually. Alrighty, next up I have this one here from Tarte. This is in collaboration with Styled by Hrush. If you watched my channel, like, I don't even know, a year or two ago, you were seeing this palette talked about all of the time because I was so obsessed with this palette, and I still honestly love it. It's just a little mini compact palette. It has 6 eyeshadows in there and then a blush, but I use this all of the time. This almost always comes traveling with me, no matter where I'm going. I love that I can create a really basic look with it. I can amp it up. Love that I have the blush shade in there. It's so easy to travel with. Like, this is one of my staple palettes and has been for a very long time, so definitely want to keep that one as well. Alrighty, next up I have this one here from Urban Decay and Kristen, Leanne. This is the new collection that just came out. So this one is a very simple eyeshadow palette. It has a brush in there. You just have 5 shades. They're all matte shades, but I really like this one, and I like pairing it with the other palette that was in their collaboration, which is coming up here shortly. I like this palette. This one's totally me. Again, this one could be a good one to travel with as well and just create those kind of like basic looks, but I really like this palette. The whole collab really impressed me, so I'm going to go ahead and keep that one. Next up, I have this one here from Tarte. This is the collaboration with Graveyard Girls, the Swamp Queen palette. This one was sent to me from my friend Tinka. I like this palette, again, because it's kind of one of those more all-inclusive ones that have eyeshadow shades and then also face shades. I do want to keep this one. I love Tinka so much. I was so excited when she sent this to me. Again, I do like that I have eyeshadows and face shades to play with as well, so I'm going to go ahead and hang on to that one. I have this one here from Dose of Colors. This is in Baked Browns. Again, I love the Dose of Colors eyeshadow palettes. I actually like the brushes that come with them, so I usually keep them in there. This is a fantastic eyeshadow palette. Love this one. Definitely keeping it. Love Dose of Colors. Next up here, I have this one from Urban Decay. This is the Distortion eyeshadow palette. It's a more recent eyeshadow palette, and it's okay, but I'm going to go ahead and declutter it because I just don't reach for it a ton. I like the concept behind it. I think it's cool. I've played with it. I played with it a couple times, and it was fun to like put this black shade down and then put some of these Transformer shades on top, and it would create really cool looks. But it's just not something that I reach for enough, and I think someone else would be even happier with it. So I know that I can go ahead. I did get this in PR, so I would pass this on to a friend or family member, but I think someone else would get more use out of it than I do, so I'm gonna put this one in my pass pile. So I believe we have 6 decluttered, and I've kept 18 so far, so doing just as well as I expected to. So this next one here is from MAC. This is the Fashion Fanatic palette. I just thought this palette was okay, but it wasn't anything special to me. You have these different eyeshadow shades, and then you also have a highlight in here. They were just okay to me. I wasn't wowed or anything, so I'm gonna go ahead and put that one in my pass pile. This one here is from NARS. This is the Wanted eyeshadow palette. I can never open up NARS eyeshadow palettes. Okay, so this is the Wanted eyeshadow palette. I really do like this eyeshadow palette. This was my first one from NARS as well, so it has a little bit of a special meaning to me, but I like the shimmers in here. I wasn't completely like totally blown away, like absolutely raving about this palette, but I still do like it. So I'm gonna go ahead and hang on to this one. And then let's see, I have these 2 here from the MAC and Patrick Star collab. I was really excited to receive these in PR and really quite surprised. And I really, really enjoyed these. I think these were my favorite part from the collection. So this one here is the Gold Getter palette. You have a really nice gold shimmer in there, and then these mattes are just really, really beautiful. I enjoy the looks that I've come up with in that palette, and then this one is the Glam AF palette, and again, I really enjoy these tones as well. I'm filming in my living room because I thought there'd be better lighting, but I'm not really sure that there is, but I really do like these palettes. These MAC shadows were much better than what was in that palette. which had me very happy. So I'm gonna go ahead and hang on to those. Then I also have another one here from Lorac. This is the Beauty and the Beast collab, and I freaking love Beauty and the Beast so much. I love Beauty and the Beast. I was so excited again to get this one in PR. I was just so shocked. I love the packaging on this, and I really do like the shades inside. Again, it's not something that's like overwhelmingly a favorite of mine, but I really do like it. I especially really like this last row, especially for right now. I'm super into like the pinky romantic looks, so I do want to go ahead and hang on to this one. One of my newer palettes here is from The Balm. This is the Meet Matchmaker eyeshadow palette, and I really like this eyeshadow palette. I reviewed it fairly recently as well, but I was very impressed with this. I like that we have these little duos in here. I like all of the shades inside. I've created some really cool eye looks with this one as well, and just very happy with this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and hang on to Meet Matchmaker. Next up, I have this one here from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Instant Eyeshadow Palette, I believe is what it's called. I have reviewed this one on my channel, and unfortunately, I said that I just did not love it, and I don't see it worth the $75 price tag. It has a mixture of matte and shimmers. I like the inside. I like the layout. I like the shade selections in here, but you really have to work to get a good eye look, and for that price tag, I just don't really feel like that should be the case. It's also plastic packaging, which I think is weird for such a high-priced eyeshadow palette. And I just didn't love this one, so I'm going to put that one in my pass pile. Next up, I have this one here from Pur. It was in collaboration with Etienne Ortega, who is a celebrity makeup artist. I actually really enjoyed this eyeshadow palette. I feel like it has my tones in here, you know? Shades inside have worked out really well for me, and I like the looks that I've created, so I'm gonna go ahead and hang on to this one. This one I just got in the mail not too long ago. This is from Urban Decay. This is the Naked palette. I got this one from Urban Decay along with some lipsticks, and I was so excited. I have never owned this Naked palette, and I remember starting to watch YouTube videos and everybody would talk about the Naked palette, and I never had it, and it was too expensive for me to go out and buy, so I'm gonna get like choked up here, but to get this one from Urban Decay was so cool. Again, I just got it. I haven't even used it yet, but I'm really excited about it, and I'm definitely gonna be keeping this one. That was a really cool moment, to be honest. Let's see, let me go over here. I have this one here from Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is just a little palette that I made for myself, but I figured I would include it. So it has 4 single shadows in here. We have Birkin, Burnt Orange, Pink Champagne, and then Henna. I've talked about the Anastasia single shadows on my channel in the past that I just don't really like them. I prefer her eyeshadow palettes for sure, especially the 2 shimmers in here, and especially Pink Champagne, which I got because like everybody raved about it. I don't really like them. Burnt Orange is in the Modern Renaissance palette, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and declutter this whole little bundle here. I purchased it on Ulta. It was a special to get the palette and then the 4 shades inside, and I don't know. I mean, I tried them. I wasn't wowed, and because like really only Birkin is the one that I enjoy, but I mean, I have Birkin in other palettes. Let's be serious. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye to this one from Anastasia. Okay, next up here, I have 2 here from Huda Beauty. Again, these are newer palettes to me. I have 2 of the new Obsessions palettes. This one is in Smoky. I just talked about these palettes in my most recent Makeup Monthly, and I put them in the favorites category. This one is the Warm Brown Obsessions, so obviously I love them. They're newer palettes to me. These are going to be so great. We are going on vacation in a couple weeks here to Arizona, and I've already been thinking about what makeup to bring, and like I'm trying, Mitch and I are sharing a bag. We're only checking one bag, so I need to think light when it comes to makeup, and I'm probably going to bring both of these because I feel like they're really great for travel. So I'm going to keep that one. Next up here, I have this one from Dose of Colors. This was in collaboration with Katie and Desi. This one is one that I think is just okay, but I'm going to go ahead and hang on to it. I mean, clearly I've used it several times. The shades are just a little bit hard to work with, a little bit hard to get on the eyes. I don't really love using my fingers, like I said, for applying makeup, but it really does apply better with your fingers. You have to use setting spray with almost all of them in here, so it's just a challenge. I always like the end looks that I get with it. I just wish they were a little bit easier to use, but Katie and Desi are 2 of my favorite influencers, so I do want to keep that one. Next up, I have this Violet Voss palette. This is in Hashtag. I did have a subscriber, Jill, send this one to me. I've only had it for maybe like a month or so now. I've used it plenty of times. I did just review it in my Makeup Monthly and I put it in the fine category, but I still do want to keep it. I like the Violet Voss eyeshadows. I like the mattes more than the shimmers actually, but I do like the Violet Voss shadows, and I think between this one and the Holy Grail, like I have quite the selection of shades. So I'm going to go ahead and hang on to the hashtag palette as well. Next up here, I have this one from Tarte. This one is the Make Believe in Yourself palette. A lot of shimmer shades. This Myth one is a matte, and then it does have a highlight in the center. I really liked this eyeshadow palette when I first got it, and I wore it quite a bit, but I really can't remember the last time that I reached for this palette. And I'm just thinking about all the other palettes I kept and all the other shades in there. Like, I feel like I have all of them in other palettes. So I think I'm actually going to go ahead and say goodbye to this one. I did like it a lot, but I haven't reached for it enough lately, so I'm gonna go ahead and put that one in the pass pile. I have this one from Pur here. This is one of the Vanity palettes. I talk about another Vanity palette. This one is in Dream Chaser. I talk about Gold Digger quite a bit, but I like that one as a face palette. This one I included in the eyeshadow palettes because I reach for it more for these eyeshadow shades right here. But I do enjoy that you get a bronzer, blush, and highlight also. And I like these palettes. I like that they pop up as a little vanity. I don't know if this one is still available or not from Pur, but if it is, I do like the shadows in here, and I like how all-inclusive it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep that one. Let's see, I have the Urban Decay Naked Smoky palette. I like it. It doesn't necessarily like totally blow me away, but I'm thinking because I got the Naked palette and it has some similar tones to it, I think that I should actually declutter this one. I don't know if you can see that at all with the mirror, but I think that maybe I should actually declutter this one. Like, I've used it enough, like I got a good hang of it. Again, it wasn't an absolute favorite of mine. It was okay, but now that I got the Naked palette, I think I'm actually gonna go ahead and declutter this one. Yes, I think that's the right move. I think that's the right move. I know, I think I had like, what, 53 palettes, and I was like, if I could get close to decluttering 20, I'd be pretty proud of myself. And I don't really know how that's looking. I don't think it's looking very good though. This is the other one from Urban Decay and Kristen Leanne. This is the much more colorful palette in here. I really like this palette. Again, I like the collab a lot. I love the blues in here, the purple. This is just a really, really good eyeshadow palette. I was very impressed with it. I love these kind of, like these two mix of shades in there. I think they're both so cool. Love that there's an orange. This is an awesome palette. I definitely do want to keep that one. Okay, next up I have another one here from Tarte. This is the Rainforest of the Sea eyeshadow palette. Yeah, I do like this eyeshadow palette. I think I'm gonna, yeah, I don't know what to do. Like, I feel like I know that I have these shades, but I like this palette a lot, and I actually reached for it quite a bit when I went traveling last summer. Like, this is a palette I took camping with me. We went on a camping trip, and I was like, yes, Rainforest of the Sea, you're coming with me. You know what? I'm looking at what I have left, and I think I should declutter this one. Yep, I really do. I'm looking at what I have left, and I know I'm not going to make my goal of trying to get close to 20, so I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye to it. I know I have other shimmers and other palettes. Like, I just need to say goodbye. I need to learn how to let go. I'm like that commercial where you just got to let go, you know? Okay, this one is from Anastasia Beverly Hills. It's the Master Palette by Mario. I definitely want to keep this one. This one was limited edition, and I know a lot of people really wish they had gotten their hands on it once again. So I'm going to keep this one. I love the tones in here, kind of the warm tones. I think it's a really nice eyeshadow palette. Again, I prefer Anastasia's palettes over her single shadows for sure, so I'm going to keep that one. I also have this one here from Too Faced. This is the Chocolate Bonbons palette. I really do like this eyeshadow palette. I think I can create some pretty fun looks with it, especially with these pink shades. I feel like when I want a really pink look, this is one of the palettes that I reach for, even though there's only like a couple of those pops of pinks, and then it's much more neutral. But for some reason, that's the type of look that I go for when I reach for the Chocolate Bonbons palette. But I do like this one. I'm gonna go ahead and hang on to it. I have this one here from Dose of Colors. This is the Marvelous Mauves eyeshadow palette. Again, I love Dose of Colors. I love all their eyeshadow palettes. I'm definitely keeping that one. Next up here, I have this one from Smashbox. This is one of the Cover Shot Metallic Eye palettes. I don't really like these. I actually purchased one and returned it. I got sent the wrong one. Like, something happened with Sephora and they sent me the wrong one, so then I finally got the metallic one, but I just don't really like it. I feel like these didn't really get a ton of great reviews. It just not very pigmented. It didn't really do much for me, so I'm actually going to go ahead and put that one in the pass pile. We are almost done. So next up here, I have this one from Kat Von D. It's the Shade and Light eyeshadow palette. This is one of my absolute favorite palettes. I still continually reach into this guy. I feel like you can tell that this one has been loved on. I love this palette. I'm definitely keeping it. Next up, I have this one here from Sigma Beauty. This is the Wildflower palette. I really enjoy this palette because it does have a blush, a highlight, and then it has some eyeshadow shades in here as well. This one I find myself taking traveling with me quite a bit too, because I like that you do get the two face shades, but I like the eyeshadow shades in here because it's just kind of like I have my go-to look with this palette, if that makes sense. And I know, especially how I like it for traveling, like I wake up and need to get ready and go. Boom, I come into this palette. I know what I'm doing. So I do want to keep that one. Next up here, I do have the Tarte Clay Play palette. This is the original Clay Play palette. I do love this palette. I raved about it. I spoke very highly of it. I recommended it a ton. I'm incredibly disappointed what Tarte did with the Clay Play 2 debacle. I did return that palette, but I still do really enjoy this palette. This is another one I take traveling a lot. I like that I have a contour and a bronzer shade in here also, and I like the matte shadows, so I'm going to keep this one. Next up, I have this one here from Colored Raine. This is the Queen of Hearts eyeshadow palette. This is a fairly newer palette to me, and I really do enjoy this one. I just reviewed it recently in my indie brand reviews, and I do want to keep this one. The price tag is high on it, but I understand the hype. It's a really nice eyeshadow palette. Then in here, I have the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. Oh man, was I so excited over this eyeshadow palette. I really was. I was the one at Ulta at 10 a.m. waiting for it to open so I could get this palette because everybody had lost their minds over it. So I'm definitely keeping this one. This was a struggle to get. I'm keeping it. But I do like this palette. I did recently do a Throwback Thursday with this one, and I still do enjoy the Sweet Peach palette. And then my last palette here is from Urban Decay, and this is the Heavy Metal eyeshadow palette. This is what the inside looks like. Again, I've talked very highly about this palette. I don't think it is available anymore. It was limited edition for the holidays, but man, if you got your hands on it, I think that you are lucky because I really enjoy it. It's not necessarily a me palette because it is all shimmer, but I still think I can come up with some really fun looks with it, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep this one too. Let me set everything out and we'll give it a final look over. Okay, so I have everything laid out here. This one was my keep pile. Big old pile, and then I have this little pile over here, which is my declutter pile. So I have 13 in there and I have 40 in here, and I don't think that's good enough. I wanted to get closer to 20 on the declutter scale, so I'm just gonna take a quick peek over what I decided to keep and think a little bit harder and maybe just get rid of a couple more. I truly just don't feel like I need 40 eyeshadow palettes. That's a lot of palettes. And so let me think. One of the first ones that I thought of was this one from Pur. It's the Soiree Diaries. I really do like this palette, but I do definitely have a lot of similar palettes to it. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna put that one in the pass pile. I'm gonna be good here. And then what else? And really, I feel like the only one that I feel like I would be okay letting go of is going to be this one from Too Faced, the Chocolate Bonbon palette. Especially just thinking back to what I said, like, oh, I like the pink colors in here, and there's only really 2 pink colors, and I definitely have pinks in other palettes. I just feel like I'm okay saying goodbye to this one too. So I'm going to put that one in the pass pile. So then I have 15 that I decluttered, which is a little bit better, and then what, kept 38. So I mean, still not the best declutter ever, but some of these palettes in here are like my staples, my holy grails that I truly have to have. Of course, there also is palettes in here that I am still trying out and testing and all of that good stuff. So there's what we ended up keeping, and then there is the little declutter pile there. So not my best declutter ever, which I figured would be with the eyeshadow palettes. It was hard to say goodbye to some of these, but I'm glad that I came back and, you know, I decluttered 2 more. That's pretty good, but I hope that you guys enjoyed seeing my eyeshadow palette collection, my high-end eyeshadow palette collection. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Did I declutter something that surprised you, kept something that surprised you, and all of that? Do let me know. My next declutter will actually be a lipstick declutter, and that one will be coming up probably in the next month or so here. That really needs to get worked on. So I'm gonna go ahead and put all of these lovely eyeshadow palettes back and get reorganized, which has me very excited. But thank you guys so much for watching another declutter of mine. I hope that you enjoyed it or found it entertaining. If you did, I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up. I hope that you'll also consider subscribing before you go, and I'll catch you guys in tomorrow's video.